Hey guys, welcome back to the show. Today we're back with Yuho from Camera Rescue going over the top 25 list all the way to number 10 because we already made the video from 1 to 10, which I'll link below and up here. So yeah, we're going to be going over the cameras and showing you why they were top picks of 2019 on Google.
Yes, and we did a video from 35 to 25, so we are at top 24th. How the heck do you say that? But you know, like the 24th most Googled camera in Europe in 2019 was Olympus XA. Yeah, XA is great. It's a marvel of a camera. I don't know why they made XA 2 and 3 and 4 because they're actually worse because they don't have the rangefinder in the same way that as the XA. The XA is the
Yeah,
best.
I mean, I like the XA. It's a true rangefinder. That's the only one in the family. The clamshell design is really nice. It closes in the lens and everything turns off when you do that. And you can choose the apertures. So you go from f2.8. It's a 35 millimeter f2.8. And you can choose the ISO and focus. It's basically a manual camera. The only thing you can't choose is the shutter speed, but you can trick it with the ISOs. So that's a way to push and pull your exposure when you're shooting. I do like the XA4 too. It has a 28 and it shoots 1600 speed film. So that's my piece of camera. But the XA is no doubt one of the best point and shoots that actually does more than just point and shoot.
Yeah, it's essentially it's like the prices have been going up, especially in the US for some reason. They are already selling at, I've seen at $400 in the US, the Olympus XAs. And in Europe, they're at around like $200 or less, definitely. So there was this hype in the US for it. And I mean, I totally understand. The next one, 23, is a Yashica T3, which is also part of the hype train. And there's obviously that Yashica T3D, also that's in this video. And I think Google might combine them to be one in terms of search queries.
Yeah, the Yashica lineup of point and shoots are superb. The T5, T4 that it made extremely famous by fashion photographers, and the T3 with the super scope and all that is really fun. That's what I've been carrying around during these little slow walks that we can do here in Spain. And it's just a simple camera. I don't like that you have to like click for the flash every time. You can't leave it on. It resets every time. I do like the lens goes, behind the cover. It's a left hand to turn it on and a right hand to shoot, which also is kind of uncomfortable. But I understand that it's, top hit. Yashica point and shoots are premium cameras, and they're not the Contax, but they're very, very high in search.
Yeah, and the T3s, they tend to go for less than 200 euros still. The 3D might go for over, but it's still the cheap one of the Yashica kind of lineup. And then for something not cheap anymore, the Contax G2.
Yeah, we had the Contax G1 at 35, which is the very first version of the G line, and the G2 was the last one. And actually, it's interchangeable camera, sort of a rangefinder, but not a rangefinder. It has AF focusing, so that's nice. It improved a lot of things from the G1, and the price has reflected that it's better, it's more reliable when focusing, and you have a bit more settings. And the lenses are compatible between both, so they're superb lenses. But yeah, it's gone up in price like crazy in the last few years.
Yeah, and there's obviously a few lenses that are only working with the G2 and not with the G1, or there's the green label whole charade thingy. But yeah, it's a very nice system. Canon FTb is number 21. It's nice to have a budget camera in the top 35, like a properly budget camera. The FTb is less than 100 euros.
No,
most.
yeah, it's a fully manual camera. The light meter works with a battery, but it has a 1/1000th of a second So it's like compatible in terms of like a Pentax K1000, but the hype has gone so much towards that camera that the Canon FD lineup and the FTb, especially being manual, is a really good option. And it's normal that it's on the list. It's a great. The lenses are really inexpensive still, even though the 1.2s have gone up very high because of cinematographers. But the 1.4s are plentiful. 1.8s are great. So I love my FD cameras, that's for sure.
At 20, there's a Yashica Electro 35, and if I'm not mistaken, it's one of the most like manufactured camera models in world history or something. It's like, yeah, there were some Soviet things that were more, but like Electro 35, there was like 3 million or something made of them, and it brought auto exposure to the masses essentially in the 60s and 70s or whenever it came out. That was the like first camera with like fully auto exposure for the like non-photographing enthusiasts that want good
No, yeah,
photos.
and I mean you have a 45 millimeter 1.7 lens, which honestly, if you're going for Leica kind of rangefinder cameras, a 40 or 5 or a 40 1.4 or 1. F2s are very expensive. So having a complete little rangefinder aperture priority camera for a fraction of a Leica is a great way to see if you like rangefinders before you dip all your money into something bigger.
I remember we found a set of 3 of these new in box somewhere, and at that time we like when we checked them with machines that they were working and handed them over to camera store, they put a price on it that seemed very absurd. It was like 199 euros for a Yashica GSN or something, and then they sold out in less than 24 hours, all 3. And since that, like the normal base price for like the base price for Electro back then was like 75 euros or something like that, and since that the price have gone up, so that the base price for a model for a Yashica Electro is like 170 euros or 190 euros. But still, like you get a lot of camera for that money. It's still a good camera for the money, but it's gone up.
Yeah,
like everything.
well, this one's gone down.
At 19 we have then, yeah, that's true. The Nikon F5. It has been going down for as long as it has been. Since creation it has been going down. It hasn't started going up yet. And there is one main reason.
Oh, the size. I mean, I've had it in my hands, and it was in my collection for a very long time, and I want to have one again. But yeah, the size and the 8 double A's that it uses is basically made it, the camera that people want to have but don't want to use because it's just huge. But I have to say, the focusing on this camera is the best I've ever seen on any camera. Like, I tried it against the D3, which is the digital version, a couple of years ago of the premium cameras, and it was so much faster, so much more reliable. And yeah, same thing. You can change the viewfinders and the focusing screens, and it's built like a tank. I've even seen one recently that had its shutter changed because it did the whole lifespan of it and put a new shutter in, and it still looks brand new. So a great camera, and honestly, I think it's one of those cameras every Nikon F fan should have, and try not to sell.
They're being bought by collectors at the moment. Then at 18 is Konica Big Mini, the BM201, which is, I guess,
it's the nicer one of the.
I'm not sure about the Big Mini one.
It's the nicer one of the Big Minis. It has the 3.5 lens that retracts into the body. These cameras, at least as far as I know, were sold for $50, $80, maybe now $100. They're getting a little higher, of course, like every point and shoot out there because there's less every day. But this is a really, really nice little pocketable camera that lasts basically until it dies. It will take great pictures. And yeah, it's just small and light and easy to carry. So no wonder it's, on the list at number 18.
And from what I remember, a very good option that's even more budget friendly, or like actually budget friendly, is a Konica A4, which is essentially, I guess it has the same lens, but it's something like it's more plasticky, and then it's under 100 euros for sure. Then at 17 we have something big.
Yeah, the Mamiya RZ67, which we were all very surprised that it wasn't in the top 10. And I made my little gamble that 2020 the Mamiya RZ67 will be in the top 10 for sure. It's gained a lot of popularity in the recent last year and a half because of YouTube creators. So Willem uses it, Matt Days used it, I use it. So like a lot of people use it. And it's, to me, one of the best studio portrait landscape cameras out there for 6x7. Has the rotating back and the lenses are so sharp and so good. But it's big, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's big, and there's a few, how do you call it, gears that break. We have, at the rescue center, we have over 30 bodies with the same gear broken, and we are now sourcing where to manufacture that same gear so that we could just fix all 30 and then put them back into life. But yeah, it's superb, and again, I think I remember a day when you could buy a RZ kit for 400 euros in Finland.
Yeah.
Or 300 even. Now if you can find one for 1,300, it's already good.
Yeah, they've gone up.
They've gone up, but I think for a reason. I mean, they weren't cheap in the beginning either, and they do, like, the whole system is very good and very capable.
Yeah, the lenses are amazing, and the 110 f2.8 on 6x7 is just wonderful. So it's not a surprise that it's up there. And I'm telling you, I think it's going to go top 10 for sure.
This one was the biggest surprise. Number 16, Konica C35 was the biggest surprise for me in the whole top 35 list. Definitely. And I mean, that even the photo, because there wasn't that many I haven't seen that many. And even the photo of the one on the video has a fox brown, not the original leather. And I cannot figure out why are people Googling
this
one.
I'm with you in this one. It's not a complete stranger to me, but I haven't seen many or used any. And so maybe someone can leave a comment on why would the Konica C35 be on the list at number 16. Maybe someone used it that's famous and popular and people Googled it for a while, but I can't say.
Obviously, there is the chance of people just Googling film camera 35. And not that many cameras have 35 in them. Yes, many cameras are 35mm cameras, but in the name, not that many have. And obviously it's more popular than a Rollei 35 SL or something like that. Or not obviously, but it's at least more cheap.
Yeah.
And then there was something about shutter speeds. I talked with someone, and someone yeah, it has a cult thingy, but I don't know about cults. 15 Canon AE program.
Yeah, there's not much to say about that hasn't been said before, but the Canon AE1 program is the AE1 without the program is top 2 on 2019. So the AE1 program requires that much more typing when you're Googling, but it's no wonder that it's there. Same thing, FD lenses, aperture priority, and program priority, which you can use, which was a little bit more advanced and a bit newer.
Yeah, and obviously the program isn't that much more expensive, so just get the program if you are in the market for a AE1. And then look at the video top 2 Canon AE1 alternatives. There's a lot of alternatives for this that are not that expensive. Then at 14 we have something big again. And you know something about this
my Pentax 672 II. Actually, mine is at the rescue center for donation because mine broke beyond repair. But yeah, it's the latest Pentax 6x7. It has basically the most change in the lineup since the original 6x7. The grip was different, the body was different, all the buttons and everything layout was totally different. But the camera still shot the same lenses, great 6x7 negatives. And if you want something with a good meter with options for center weighted or spot meter or the whole matrix, the Pentax 672 is the one. The prices also have been going up really, really high, but I think it's worth it if you really want the best Pentax 6x7 camera. The problem, and interchangeable screens by the user, not by a service, facility. So I'm not surprised that it's there. I would love to still own mine, but they do tend to fail in the advancing, so it's good to get one that's serviced for sure.
And the whole Pentax 6.7 thing, like the not 2 version was in the top 10. So we talked about it also, and there's a whole video about alternatives and why the system is nice and things like that. So watch that. Then we're at lucky number 13 next, I guess. And it's FM2. Okay, why is it 13?
Well, the FM2 is a great camera for what you like for the price. Like you have the FM 3A and the FM straight, like just the FM. But the FM2 is really, really good camera. I actually shot it in a video during the night and I really, really enjoyed it. I think it's a small body and Nikon, mount, which has been around forever. So you can mount every single lens and yeah, it's 1/4000 of a second shutter, which is great. And it's manual.
Yeah, and I think again, it's a bit up to Google. Like the FE2 is just the FE2, and then Nikon FM2 and Nikon FM2N split Google's in like 2 different cameras. So I guess that's why it's not more higher up than the FE2, even though I guess it's more popular, or from internet folklore it should be more popular. And then 12, there's a whole system which actually the Olympus OMs have not been in the whole list so far, and I think they obviously we haven't had Minoltas either or Konicas, and that happens, but the Olympus OM lineup should get more than just one camera in the top 35.
Yeah, I mean the which was called the M1, but then Leica didn't like it, so they changed it to the OM1. Has an amazingly bright range, like viewfinder. Like you look through that viewfinder with a 51.8, and it's just like real life. Like it looks better than real life. So I'm very surprised too that there's no other OMs in the lineup. I do know the OM4 is the most popular price-wise because it's higher, but the OM1 still is really, really good. I do recommend to have the light seals changed or get it from somewhere like Camera Store where they've changed them and made it workable, because they do tend to fade and disappear. But yeah, and the lenses are superb too. There's a bunch of lenses to use and they're really good, and it's a really, really small camera for what you're getting. Like in hand, it just feels really small.
Yeah, it's hard to look at videos and be like, oh, this is small or this is big, but the OM series is small. Obviously, the one is the one that has a little problem with the batteries. It uses the PX625 batteries, or then you have to have it exchanged for a modern battery. So it's a bit of a problem with battery types. The OM2 is much better in that, but the OM2 is not on the list, so we can't talk about that. 11 is Nikonos. Do you know anything about Nikonos? In Finland, you cannot use a Nikonos. Like, you need a wetsuit, and like there's 2 days in a year that you can use a Nikonos.
Yeah,
So
no,
you need to
I
talk
own
about
one,
this
and I actually really like the fact that the lens on the one on the video is actually the right way round to when you use it. And if you notice, the lens is upside down, and that is because when you're under the water and you want to look at the aperture, the focusing scale, you flip it like that, and you see it the right way round. Because if you put it the right way round, and then you have to turn the camera, which usually you can't with the strap, so that's why it's the other way around. The Nikonos is the last, no, not the last, sorry, the one before the last of the underwater Nikon cameras. It uses a 35 f2.5, which is a great camera on the like underwater and out of the water. And I would say in Finland you could use it when the snow melts and it starts getting all mushy because, you know, you need something waterproof and mud-proof. But it's a great camera, uses a little battery, aperture priority if you want it. And basically it's built to last. There was an orange version and a green version. They do not float, so don't let it go when you're in the water, which is, to me, to a certain way, a design fault. It would have been amazing if it floated. But yeah, it's a great, great camera.
But they actually shipped it with a floating neck strap, so that when it was with that original strap, it would have floated like it floated. But yeah,
Now I need to find one of those straps. But yeah, it's a superb camera. You do have more lenses.
Yeah.
It's interchangeable. Make sure when you get one that the O-rings are new or get a replacement set, and do, you know, grease them when you're using it normally, or maybe it's been in a cupboard for months because, you know, it's a summer camera or a good weather camera most of the times. But there's more lenses. There are 15, there's I think 20, 35, and then 85 or something like that. And they're not all out of the water lenses, but they're all really good. And then you can have the flash system, which, you know, was what was used back in the day, which is not so popular nowadays, but they're great cameras, and surf photography is so fun with these, honestly. And you can also nail.
A quick question: does the depth of field scale, is it the same in underwater?
About the depth of scale, I don't know if it's the same.
You know.
I think it's the same. What does happen is the lenses do get a little longer when you're under the water because of the diffraction. So if you shoot with half water, half no water, you'll get different sizes of objects. So if you're shooting a person, the body out of the water will be one size and under the water will be a little bigger. So you can do some cool stuff with that for sure. But depth of field probably is the same. But it's one of those cameras you want to kind of like push your film because you want more depth because you're, you know, in the water and not in a control situation. And it's not a rangefinder or SLR. It's basically, you know, you're seeing the scene and the lens is totally independent. So you want to be careful with how shallow your depth of field is.
And that's actually a quite interesting camera to end this video, because it was number 11. Like, that's pretty high for an underwater special camera that, you know, was certain period, like only a certain amount of use. I would say that's surprisingly
it's
high.
a camera that during the summer goes up in price, so the time to buy it is winter. And it is surprising that it's number 11. I guess underwater photography, and there's a lot of surf people that use it, and maybe that's why it attracts more attention. But yeah, basically that's the top list from 24 to number 11. Then we had the 10 to number 1, which we did already. I'll link that below and up on the little corner here. And yeah, let us know what you think of the list. It does seem random, but it's Google searches throughout 2019. And some cameras make sense, some don't. But yeah, let us know what you think on the comments.
And if someone has something that should be on the list, definitely just comment below, and we'll keep it in mind also.
So yeah, guys, thanks for watching. Let us know, and we'll see you in the next video with U-Haul. Bye, guys.